Hi everyone, I'm Matt Nefanis, broker owner of RE/MAX Realty Associates with offices in Champaign, Mahomet, and Monticello, Illinois. And today I'm coming to you from a trash dumpster. No, well, yeah, I mean, there is a trash dumpster, but really I'm coming to you from my new construction, new listing at 3309 Palmer Drive in the Legends subdivision in West Champaign. And this property is under construction, so you can tell from the building materials in the dumpster that we're not done yet. But the reason I wanted to go ahead and do at least a short video now is I want to showcase the incredible views that you'll find here, because this is one of the properties that backs right up to the Legends golf course. It's a 9-hole golf course with a driving range, and you get this beautiful water and golf course endless view in the back. And secondly, I want to show you a few things today that you won't be able to see later if you don't have X-ray vision. So hang out with me for just a few minutes. I'll give you a preliminary, still in progress tour of 3309 Palmer Drive in Champaign. So one of the big challenges in the market today is we've got a housing shortage in general. And how do you increase the supply? Well, you got to build more houses, but the most expensive houses to build are new houses because the cost of new construction keeps going through the roof. So Legends is a subdivision that I quite like and have sold other houses in the past, because it does several things that actually are reasonable compromises to get a really nice floor plan, really nice standard of living without ending up, spending $500,000 or more. So this property is hitting the market at $399,900. It's over 1,700 square feet above grade, but it's a relatively compact floor plan that is just really efficient. The Legends houses, they're on small-ish, narrow lots. So you do own, you're not attached. It's not a townhouse or anything. And you have these incredible views, and you've got great spaces for walking, but you're in a higher density, smaller footprint development. So I'm starting with the garage because I'd have to risk my life to try to get through the front door right now. But the garage on these is actually really, really a good size. It's a very useful 2-car garage that will fit large vehicles or a full-size pickup truck and still leave you with room for a workbench or other garage stuff. Since the service panel is out here, you've got easy access to add additional outlets. And I suspect one of these is probably spec'd in, I think, for at least a rough in on a level 2 EV charging station. So I'm going to show you a few things that you can't see after this house gets done. But some of the things that contribute to the increased cost, well, I guess first of all, let's do this. So while this house is on a smaller lot, this is your view. And it's not just that you've got a really nice view, you're at this elevated perch, which means that the basements on these properties out here are all daylight basements. So $399,900 does not include finishing the basement, but a future basement finish gives you daylight windows that also look out in this direction. But when this gets finished, it's going to have an elevated deck that overlooks that incredible and peaceful view. The main floor plan here, super open, 9-foot ceilings. You're going to have a really nice kitchen set up here with a floating island. The sink will be in the island. And then while the kitchen itself is going to be generously sized, there's a good sized walk-in pantry as well. Plus there's a back coat closet over here. So, first floor, open living, kitchen, dining, and half bath. And you're going to end up with a really cool decorative fireplace over here. Now, in terms of things that you're not going to be able to see later, check this out. One of the things in the builder feature sheet talks about an air-sealed building envelope. Well, what does that mean? So you sort of have two related features when it comes to energy efficiency. You want a high R value wherever you have insulation. The higher the R value number, the less thermal energy can pass through that barrier, which generally contributes to efficiency. However, you can have very high R value numbers, but if you have air leakage, it will undercut the value of the insulation if air is leaking through and bringing cold air in the winter or hot air in the summer. So right now you see that these a Quaker Low E. That's a energy standard that's now required by current building and energy codes. But the Quaker windows with low E glass, that means that quite a bit less solar heat energy makes its way through these windows. But you'll see that this has got a spray foam that is sealing every bit of the perimeter, so that once this gets trimmed out, there is no opportunity for any air leakage. That foam not only provides good insulation barrier, but it also creates an absolute stop on any air leakage. And so all the windows are done that way. This has been spec'd with today's televisions in mind. So one of the things I really like is you're going to get a nice wide decorative fireplace. On a lot of other houses, if you take a more traditional looking fireplace with the trim package and mantle, it forces your television all the way up against the ceiling, and it really is both ugly and uncomfortable to watch. Well, for this setup, you've clearly got all of the mounting for this to be put up here. You've got conduit already installed so that all of your AV cables can be fished. So if you have a game console or an AV receiver, if you need wires, you have the ability to run those and have the receiver box out of sight. So one of the things that you will see referenced in the builder feature sheet for this house is a reference to an engineered stud that's used in the kitchen. And the reason that that's important is the studs in most of the house are, for the most part, used as the surface to which you nail the drywall. And depending on where they are, they may be structural in some locations. In others, they're not at all. They're just a floating wall, and they provide the thing for you to nail the drywall to and to run your wiring through. But in the kitchen, you're hanging cabinets and attaching counters and doing a geometrically patterned tile backsplash. These are all things that will look, and to some degree function, but mostly look not perfect if you don't have absolutely perfectly straight walls and surfaces to start that with. So the kitchen features those more expensive engineered studs. To illustrate my point about the difference in the studs, even more X-ray vision, because I sneaked into the property being built next door. This one just got framed this week. This was just a hole in the ground with a concrete foundation a couple of days ago. But there are the standard wall studs, 2x6 exterior wall studs, and here are the engineered studs, which cost extra money, but they are as geometrically perfect as you can get with the material, so that all of your kitchen cabinets and everything else in the way of kitchen fixtures is as perfect as possible when the house is done. In the case of both the range in the kitchen and also in the case of the dryer in the laundry area, Signature goes to the added expense of giving you both electrical and gas options for your range and for your dryer. Today, as I record this in 2025, it's generally cheaper to be able to burn natural gas for generating heat, whether it's heating your house, your hot water, your food, or drying your clothing. But if you prefer electric, or if you get into a future green energy scenario where you really want the house to be mostly or all electric, you've got both options available. So this particular house, as I mentioned earlier, is coming with an unfinished basement. The builder certainly can finish the basement for the buyer if the buyer wishes to pay the upcharge to do that. And it's a great layout. It easily finishes into media room, rec room out here. This is the rough-in plumbing for a full bath. And then you've got daylight windows in the family room, but then you've got an egress window to put a bedroom over here. So it's a great layout for easily and efficiently finishing it. But again, where this sits right now, you get a chance to see some exciting stuff that differentiates today's new construction from older properties. So interestingly, the thinnest part of a house is the rim joist or the band joist. So this is the top of the foundation wall. And once that is poured, or in this case, because part of it's down here below grade and this part on the back is above grade, but once this is all done, that's the top of the foundation, and then there's a rim joist that goes around the entire perimeter. It's at the end of these main joists that hold up the second floor. Well, that's the thinnest part of the house. It's the area of the house that is most susceptible to heat loss because it doesn't have the thickness of an insulated wall. And insulating this area has been required for a number of years. But what do you notice in this case? you're seeing not one but two different types of insulation. And it goes back to what I was showing you with the windows on the main floor. You've got foam sprayed in, which not only is high R value, but is an absolute leak stop for air movement. So you've got any possible air movement stopped in its tracks with the spray foam, and then that has been supplemented with additional fiberglass batt insulation to ensure you have no air leakage in addition to having a really high R value. It's been code around here for, gosh, over a decade now that even if you don't finish the basement, you have to fully insulate the basement walls. So finished or not, you're going to have less less energy used to keep this space comfortable. You may also notice that it's not very echoey around here. Here's a piece of insulation that has been pulled out of place. Once again, you're able to see, if I go back in this spot, you're able to see all the way back in there, band joist area, everything is just completely sealed. And then on top of all of that, you've got this big blanket of insulation. So a few other things down here in terms of mechanicals. You've got a power vent water heater and then a high efficiency furnace. Both of those things don't require a chimney, which means you don't have to have a chase that goes all the way up through both floors of the house, which also takes up a little bit of space. So they're high efficiency, but they're also more efficient in terms of not needing to eat up space inside the walls or in the attic. Furnace is a high efficiency Train. They're not using a cheap builder grade brand. They're using a premium name brand. And then this has a ventilation controller to electronically regulate how much fresh air is getting in. You'll hear people sometimes say, well, new houses are so tight that you may be unhealthy because you don't get enough fresh air. No, the house is actually engineered to get exactly the right amount of fresh air. There's a fully installed radon mitigation system, so no waiting to test and find out whether it's got high radon or not. It's been installed. It doesn't have power running to it yet, but it has been fully installed. And then when it comes to water, which is homeowners and insurance carriers' worst nightmare, one of their worst nightmares, you've got really 3 layers of sump pumps. So this is the sanitary pump for a future bathroom down here. That's all sealed up and connected to the sanitary sewer lines. All of this is for groundwater. So you have 2 separate sump pits, 2 separate electric sump pumps, and then a third hydro-powered backup pump. So in the event that both of the primaries fail, or in a power outage, there will be a hydro-powered, that is, an impeller that's powered by the water pressure in the house that will be the backup if all else fails. So that's your sump pump setup. So quick tour of the second floor. Another little bit of behind the scenes stuff. You'll see over here that you've got green board. So on newer homes, you have a water and antimicrobial style of wallboard that's used that is much less likely to deteriorate when exposed to the moisture and humidity that you find in a bathroom. So that's the hall bath. And then this floor plan gives you a total of 3 bedrooms, 2 of which have nice sized walk-in closets. So this is the third and smallest bedroom. It has the least exciting view, but it does get a really decent sized walk-in closet. Now the other 2 both have golf course views, and so the builder has made sure that they both get double windows, so you get the picture perfect view out the back, as well as just a ton of daylight. Now I'm here late afternoon, and that faces west, but a ton of daylight. But remember, one of the impacts of having that low E glass is you can stand in the sunlight and you don't feel like you're going to bake. And then here's the primary. Also double window, and you can see just a little bit of the bathroom taking shape. This is going to feature a double vanity here. The stool has not yet been put in, and then you have a custom tiled shower. And then actually a really, really generously sized walk-in closet. And we have no fixtures or electricity installed here yet, and there's still plenty of light just coming from the sunlight coming in through the back window. So there is your sneak peek at 3309 Palmer. All right, I figured I would conclude your tour of 3309 Palmer with the golf course in the background instead of the construction dumpster. But I hope you found that somewhat useful. I'm recording this in mid-July, and the property is set to be completely done and ready to close next month by the end of August. And as you saw, that basement has the ability to be very easily and pretty quickly finished if somebody wants to opt for that as an upgrade as well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. And this property is one of those that backs right up to the Legends golf course. It's a nine horse, okay.